This is our sewing all, and as you see, I've got it set up all kinds of wrong. Now the reason why is because I honestly don't care, because it's overcomplicated, to be honest here. With the Speedy Stitcher, you got a little small tensioner screw right around here, and with the Tandy Sewing All, you got the spool right here, and then you got a little hole that goes up through there, and it's really unnecessary as far as I'm concerned. And you use them both the exact same way. You got your project here. You pull out a little bit more string than what you need. Me, as a general rule, I give everything about 2-3 inches more. You got it through the needle. Push it up. And when you pull out, the back stitch forms this little loop right here. But for the first stitch, you want to pull the end out. Do a little bit of measuring, and if you want, adjust as necessary. Pull it out. Hold taut on the end. Do a little bit of adjustments here. Put it in the next hole. Go through. I'm through. And as we see, now we've got that little needle hole once again. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to take the tail of that other string that we had from the first stitch. Pull it right through. Then slowly back it out. And what you've done is you formed a lock stitch. Now you're going to see a little knot right there. What you want to do is you want to pull that till it's in the center. Don't pull too hard. You're going to bring it too much forward, like what I just did there. And if that happens, you just pull on the tail end until it's right there in the center. And then you repeat this process until you're all the way to the end of your project. And it gets faster, of course. Now, when I was actually looking up the Speedy Stitcher to see how different it was from the Tandy Sewing All, really there was nothing so special about it worth mentioning, other than they showed it being used on boat sails. Every variation of these Speedy Stitchers that I've seen, and these sewing alls, all come with a big thick needle, which is what I got right here. And this thing is much thicker than your standard sewing needles. I'd have to say it's like a size 28 for a machine. Something like that. And then you have a small, finer one. And the small, finer one would have done better for this project, but I just felt like doing a random video. And it appears that most of these extra things that I've had, my entire accessory set for this, was not in the little tube that this thing came with. None of it. So, I'm a bit curious as to that. But just to test things out, I used some different threads than the stock thread here. I actually used Ritza Tiger thread to see if that would work with this. And it did. It's the ugliest threading I'd ever seen with a Ritza because, well, most of the time I use saddle stitching, but it worked. So these speedy stitchers have absolutely no thread, so long as you can fit it through the eye of that hole, that I can think of. No thread limitations. It's not like a sewing machine where you have to use just bonded nylon. But yeah, there it is. It works. It certainly does work. So yeah, proof of concept. These things do indeed work. And I even used just the stock string that it came with to prove it, because most of the time whenever you find stock string with any kind of sewing anything, it's normally terrible. But yeah, it worked. And once again, the proof of concept right here. Hopefully that focuses in. Just work, camera. But yeah, not everyone's comfortable with saddle stitching for some strange reason. Me, the only problem I have with saddle stitching is that if I'm working on a bag or something like that, I could be from here all the way over here. Oop, knock things over. With this, you just got one tail to worry about. You don't have to get up as much. It's easier to manage one of these than it is to saddle stitch, even though saddle stitching is stronger. I mean, in a perfect world, every leather thing would be saddle stitch, but yeah, this is not a perfect world now, is it? As we see with everything we see in the news. And that's shitting on the news, not any particular political organization. But yeah, they are not junk. Everyone's gonna have their own personal preference on everything, and well, if I'm gonna lock stitch, I'm gonna use my crappy Chinese leather patcher. Not everyone's got the patience to get those things working, and I can't think of any company that actually produces really, really nice ones right off the bat. They work, and the whole purpose of this video was, one, I got bored, and two, I saw somebody riffing on another guy for saying that he liked to use a speedy stitcher rather than just saddle stitching or using a $1,000 machine. And that kind of annoyed me, because you got some people within every community that tend to be a bit of a jackass about their viewpoints on how they like things done. Me, if it works and you provide a decent quality product, I don't care what you do. That being said, that's it for this video. Thank you for curing an hour and a half of my boredom. Have a good one, YouTube.